All right, folks, we'll take a look here at the Futato exercises from lesson 25, looking at hollow verbs. Relatively short, at least there weren't two chapters, right? I mean, hollow verbs are a little bit tricky, but thankfully we're only focused on those for now, so we'll try to go through this as quick as we can. And of course, if there's anything I blow through, pass over too quickly, feel free to email me, text me, whatever. We can even set up a one-on-one video conference if we need to. So we'll look here at section A. This is parsing. You basically know that this is going to be cal hollow on all of these, so that helps. You kind of know a little bit what to expect. But you want to make sure that you memorize the forms of the cal hollow verbs before parsing the following. Okay, here's why. The cal hollow verbs are so irregular, and some of the forms are so similar to other forms that we're going to learn, like, certain forms of the participle and stuff like that, that if you don't memorize these well, you're going to end up getting confused. So do spend the time on the chart here. This gives you for the holum hollow verb, the hirik yod holum, or I should say holum vav hollow verbs, hirik yod hollow verbs, shurik hollow verbs. You can see some differences between them, but in the imperfect, the general trend is you're going to keep your hollow vowel, and your prefix letter is going to be a kametz. And that's pretty straightforward all the way through, pretty reliable. A little bit of irregularity, you get into the 3FP form. This is the long form. This is where you get that segel yod theme vowel that may be a little bit unusual for you, but other than that, the 3FP and the 2FP, I should say, those forms are identical. Pretty straightforward all the way through. I guess the perfect is, there we go, there's the perfect. So as far as the imperative goes, it's pretty much the same as the imperfect. You've just taken off the prefixes. So the 2MS form is going to look a lot like the infinitive construct form, which I'm not sure why we haven't. The infinitive construct form. Oh, here we go. The infinitive construct form is the lexical form that you're learning. So the imperative, if I can figure out where that is, the imperative 2MS is going to look pretty much the same as that. Now when you add 2FS, 2MP, 2FP, that's when you start to get suffixes here. But in general, going to be pretty straightforward. Cohortative, again, olive prefix, kametze suffix, no big deal. The jussive, this is where it gets a little bit tricky. Just like the third hey verbs, the jussive is shortened. That's what happens here in the hollow verbs as well. So you're going to lose your vowel, your hollow vowel, okay? It's either going to shorten or reduce or something like that. You'll still have your prefix with your prefix kametz, but you're not going to have that same unchangeably long vowel. Okay, that's what you're going to lose. So in that sense, you will be able to tell the difference between the jussive and the imperfect in the hollow verbs. Perfect, this gets pretty tricky sometimes because you just flat out lose this hollow vowel most of the time, and you don't have any other good clues because you don't have a prefix. So there's going to be times where the perfect is going to look a lot like the participle or some other forms. These just get familiar with. I'm not saying you have to memorize all of the perfect forms, but be familiar with what happens. A lot of times the suffix is going to be enough to let you know that it's perfect. If you see a tav kametz, if you see a tav shava, tav hirik yod, Those are good indications that you're in the perfect. But for example, moot in the 2ms becomes mata. I mean, not only do you lose the shurik, but you don't even have an OU class vowel here. It becomes a patach. And you don't end in a tav kametz, you end in a tav kametz hey. So some of these forms get a little unusual, and you got to be ready for that. All right, so all that to say, it is important to be aware of these paradigms. You're going to probably end up referring back to them frequently. So let's go through here. We see Coomb. Now, we already know that these are hollow verbs, so this is a form of the hollow verb where we lose the vowel. We lose that medial vowel. When does that happen? Well, it can happen in the perfect, it can happen in the participle, and it happens in the jussive. So this is probably one of those three. The jussive is still going to have the imperfect prefix on it, so this is not the jussive. And the participle, let's take a look here at the difference between the participles and the perfect. I'm not going to be able to get both of those on my screen. I'm trying to make this a little bit smaller here. All right, so a lot of times the cal participle is going to have the same form as the 3ms of the perfect. So context is going to be the determiner. You will see this with Coomb. Cal perfect 3ms, calm. Masculine singular participle, calm. Okay, feminine singular participle, kama. 3fs, kama. Kamim and kamot are going to be much more obvious because you've got the plural suffixes here. But the participle is going to look a lot like the perfect. I do believe, and I'll have to check this because I can't remember off the top of my head, I do believe that one of these, the accent for the feminine singular, one of these, the accent is on the first syllable and one it's on the second. I believe that it's on the second syllable in the perfect, it's on the first syllable in the participle, so it would be like sama. But I'm not certain of that. I'll need to look that up. Either way, in your Hebrew text, you may not be paying attention to where the accent mark is anyways, so you can just treat it as an identical form and, let context help you decide. So for Psalm, or for Seam, I should say, again, we go Psalm. So here we go from Hirikyod to Kametz. This is pretty regular, where when you've got a hollow verb and you go into the perfect, you're going to get that Kametz. It's pretty regular. Bosh is one example where that doesn't happen. You actually keep the Holam Vav in Bosh in the third person. So in 3ms, 3fs, and 3cp, and then in 1cp as well, you keep that Holam Vav in there. These aren't going to be too tricky, except for the 3ms form, because this looks identical to the infinitive construct, and it looks identical to the imperative 2ms. So this is one that may be a little bit tricky, but Bosha, that Kametze indicates 3fs. You might think it could be a participle. Apparently Bosh does not occur in the feminine singular participle. But if it did, we don't have any reason to think it wouldn't look like this. So that's another one. But when you get into, Bosht, that's the 2fs Tav Shava, Boshti, I should say Boshti. Shati here is, oh boy, no, that is Boshti. Boshti. Yeah, I'm pretty sure the accent's on the first syllable here. So Bosht, Boshti, these are pretty obvious perfect suffixes. Shouldn't be too hard. Boshu, this, because this looks like the imperative, this could technically be the imperative 2MP, I think. So that one might be a little bit tricky. And then Boshnu, that's going to pretty obviously be the 1CP of the Cal Perfect. But there's a lot of overlap between the perfect and the participle on here. So just be aware of that. So that tells us that this could either be Cal Perfect 3ms of Coomb, or it could be Cal Active Participle masculine singular of Coomb. Number 2, Somnu. This is from Seam, and the new Shurik tells me that it's Cal Perfect 1CP. Bata. This is from Bo, and the Tav Kamets tells me it is Cal Perfect 2MS. Shavu is going to be from Shuv, and it will not be infinitive or imperative because it's lost its middle vowel. This is going to be Cal Perfect, and the Shurik is going to tell me that it's, 3CP. Ta roots is pretty straightforward. We've got the full hollow verb, which means it's on the imperfect side of the family, and we've got our imperfect prefix. So there's no reason to think that this isn't either Cal Imperfect 3FS or Cal Imperfect 2MS of roots. Number 6, we've got Avin. Avin here. So the Aleph is the 1CP prefix. So this is Cal Imperfect 1CP. And then Bean is this? I will understand, I think Bean is. Let's see here. Must be from 24. Yeah, understand. All right. Oops, too far there. All right. Oh, nope, I'm in the wrong. Go back over here. All right, Avin. So yeah, I will understand. Then we've got Tavo'u. So this is from Bo. This is Cal Imperfect. This is going to be 2MP. Got the Tav prefix, Shirk suffix. Ramin is going to be from Room, which is to be exalted or to be lifted up. So this is going to be a participle, and it's masculine plural. You can tell from the hierarchy of noun. Simu. Simu is that one that I can't remember. I think in the perfect it keeps its vowel. Let's go back up and take a look. Simu. It does not. So Simu is going to be imperative to MP that. Simu. All right. Ba'ot. This is going to be from Bo. And the ot suffix here is going to indicate that you've got a Cal active participle feminine plural. Moat. I have to think about this one because I never remember if the infinitive construct is moat or moot. I think it's moot. So what would give us moat? I want to say that would be... I want to say feminine plural participle, but I feel like that's a tricky one. It could be something else. Yeah, apparently it doesn't occur in the feminine plural participle. So where do we have moat? Moat occurs... Moat. I don't see moat anywhere. Mata, Mati, Me2, Not Me. Huh. Oh, of course. I made it way harder than it needs to be. Moat is the infinitive absolute. All right. So it's like, I don't remember when you get the whole involved there. So, all right. Number 12, we've got Ye Voshu. Ye Voshu. Now we've got our vowel in there. So this is on the imperfect side. Yod prefix indicates third person. Suffix indicates plural. So this Cal imperfect 3MP form of Bosch. The only thing irregular here is we get the serifime vowel instead of the comets. And I'm guessing that just has to do with the root Bosch. Bosch just takes a different prefix vowel, apparently. So Bosch, we get into the imperfect. Bosch. Oh, we don't have a paradigm for Bosch. So all of these have comets prefix vowels. And it's unfortunate that I'm not sure why he expects you to be able to recognize that if he doesn't give you the sere prefix. But we'll look it up in the answers here. Ye Voshu, number 12. So lesson 25A, number 12. I'm pretty sure he's going to say that's Cal imperfect. 25A, 12. Cal imperfect 3MP. So he never explains to you why this goes to sere rather than comets, but looks like that's what happens. Alright, so next we've got Nasura. So here we've got sur, noon prefix with the cometse suffix is cohortative. This is Cal cohortative 1CP from sur. And then we've got Yasame. So Yasame is going to be from seam. I'm going to say that this is jussive because we do have the imperfect prefix, but we've lost the heric yod. So number 14, I'm pretty sure is jussive here. 25A14. Yeah, Cal jussive 3MS. Alright. Number 15, we've got Yakum. So again, I'm going to say jussive here because we lose the Holem Vav. Yep, jussive again. And then we've got Ratsim. So this is going to be the Cal active participle. Masculine plural from roots. Number 17, May 2. This is going to be, I believe, the Cal perfect 3CP form. Now let's see if there are any others that would fit. May 2. This is the one I guessed. Looks like that's probably it. Boshi, this is going to be, this is imperative because it's still got the Holem Vav, but it's lost the prefix. So that happens in the infinitive and in the imperative. Well, it's not the infinitive construct unless, I guess this could be a 1CS suffix. So this would be something like me being ashamed or to be ashamed, for me to be ashamed, something like that. But if this is not infinitive construct plus 1CS suffix, it's going to be the imperative 2FS. So you get the heric yod suffix and the 2FS in the imperative. Number 9, you've got mata. Now mata, I'm going to say that this, I've got two options I could go with. I could go with Cal active participle feminine singular, or I could go with Cal perfect 3FS here. But I think only one of those is right. Which one would be right? I'm tempted to say, I'm a little bit surprised to see the Batak, because I know that Moot is so, well, gosh. I mean, I know the Patak shows up in the perfect, so that's why I want to say that, which would mean that the participle is probably meta. So let's take a look here and see which one it would be. So So meta is the participle, which means mata is the perfect. There we go. So got it right. All right. Bosch. Oh, we already did that. So May 2. That was the. What was that? May 2. Because it can't be participle. I guess it has to be the perfect. Oh, third person is the Sarah. That's why. So these are. Yeah, there's no Shurik in the participle. But if we go to, there you go, the Cal Perfect 3CP, the third person, you go into the Sere, whereas the second and first person are in the Batak. So even up here, you've got the Sere there, and the third person singular and the third person plural. All right, so then, let's see, we've got Tarumu. So room. Let's see if. Oh, I said earlier roots was to be exalted. Roots is to run. Room is to be exalted or to be lifted up. So Tarumu here, this is going to be Cal imperfect 2MP from room. So basically, you, sirs, will be lifted up. All right. So that's A. Okay, take a look at B here. Focus on the use of the perfect and the imperfect. So pretty straightforward here. We've got perfect, patak, or kamets patak, kamets sere. That's not patak, but it's a stative verb. That's why we've got a sere here. Here we've got our yod prefix. This is imperfect. Aleph prefix, so imperfect. Do is from Ahmad. This is the 3CP form, so this is also perfect. Re'item. This is from Ra'ah. It's perfect because it's got the tem 2NP suffix. And third hay is in the perfect. When you add the consonantal suffix, the third hay will shift to a Hirik Yod. All right, number 7, we've got Asa with the noon prefix, so this is imperfect. Baninu, this is going to be perfect. It's bana, third hay. When we add the 1CP suffix, the third hay becomes Hirik Yod. Tik, he. Tik, he. This is a tricky one. This is lakach. Anytime you see kof, chet together in a root, just think that's probably some form of lakach. Right, so what happens here is the lamed is going to assimilate into the kof like a one noon would. So you've actually got an imperfect 2FS form here. Number 10, we've got Allah, but we've got a yod prefix, so this is imperfect 3MP. All right. Pretty much the same thing here. I guess we're supposed to translate in this one more than pars. But you've got the translations in the back of your book there. Section C here. Yoveh, I assume this is going to be from Avah. Avah is to will or to want. So this is going to be Cal imperfect, 3MS. Omar is going to come from Amar, but this is one of those one olives where when you get a 1CS imperfect, where you would expect to have Aleph, that just, the second Aleph, the root Aleph, drops out altogether. So you've got your imperfect prefix Aleph, 1CS of Amar, and the count imperfect. Yeredu, this would be Yarad. You get the Sere pattern indicating a one yod vav in the imperfect. But we've had to reduce the second sere to make room for the shurik at the end. Matsati, this is matzah, obviously, with the 1CS perfect suffix. Number 5, here we've got Allah. And this is just a simple Cal perfect 2MP. The third hay shifts to Hirik Yod. The reason why you've got this Hatef Patach here is in the 2MP form of the cow perfect. You usually have a shavah in R1, but gutturals don't like a shavah, so they go with the hatef vowel. A shave, this is the 1CS form of yeshev, which is the seri-seri pattern of yeshav. That means it's a cow imperfect. This is 1CS. Natata, this is natan with the final noon assimilated into the suffix. This is a cow perfect 2 ms suffix of natan. So natanta is going to be you gave or you placed, you sat, you set, not you sat, you set. Nikach, again, when you see kovchet, think of lakach. This is a noon-heric prefix, so this is 1CP, cow imperfect of lakach. And then te lacha. So this is the seri-seri pattern, which you would see in a 1-yod vav. It's just that second seri had to reduce to a shavah to make room for the shurik. But it's not actually yalach, 1-yod vav, it's halach. Halach conjugates like a 1-yod oftentimes. All right, number 10, we've got tis sa'i. So this is actually a dogish forte because sen is a non-bagad kafat letter. So I'm trying to think of what has gone in here. Nasa, obviously. Had a little bit of a blank on my brain there. Nasa is our root. The noon has assimilated. We've got a tav prefix, heric yod suffix. That's the sign of the 2 fs in the cow imperfect. All right, let's translate our biggest one here. Looks like that's probably going to be, I guess, number 8. So again, Hebrew translation. First position, we expect to find our main verb. It won't always be there, but that's the expectation. We get kachu. Remember, you see a kof and a chet together, you think lakach. When would we lose the lamed of lakach? Well, the lamed would assimilate into the kof in an imperfect, but we don't have the prefix holding the lamed in there anymore. So when do we get an imperfect conjugation that loses its prefix? That's going to be the infinitive or the imperative. Now the infinitive will not have a shuric suffix, so this must be imperative 2MP of lakach. Lakach is he took, so this would be you all, take. Take what? Et ha kasef, kesef, take the silver, and the gold, the et ha zahav, to shomer. Shomer is from shamar. Shamar is he guarded or he watched, he kept. So a shomer, this is the participle, holom sere pattern. This would be one who watches, the watcher, or the keeper, or the guard, maybe. Lamed has the patach dagesh here, indicating the definite article. So take the silver and the gold to the guard, or the keeper, who or which or that will place. This is from seem, to place. Yasim is going to be 3ms, sort of a future tense here. Who will place otam. This is the et, definite direct object marker with a 3MP suffix. Who will place them in the bite, in the house or the temple. All right, let's take a look here. Got A, B, C, D, E. All right, so let's look at E. Isaiah 6:3, Deuteronomy 12:1. Let's go with Isaiah 6:3. Let's see what that has to say. I'm going to make this a little bit larger here. All right, so we've got vekra, ze, el ze, ve amar, kadosh, 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 Adonai Tsabaoth, malo kol haaretz, kavodo. All right. Well, beginning here, again, Hebrew sentence, we expect the verb to be in first position. We see kra. Kra, this looks like a normal cow perfect 3ms form. We've got a vav shava here. Now, when we have a vav shava on a cow perfect, we have to ask ourselves, and actually, have we even? Yeah, we haven't even done the vav relative yet. So this will be a preview for next week. We see a vav conjunction on a perfect verb. It might just be a compound verb, a compound predicate. He ran and jumped, or he ran and called, or he ran and cried. Okay, and cried. But this vav shava here also has a interesting function on the perfect sometimes. And what it does is, some people refer to it as converting the time that you would expect. So since the perfect is completed action, we usually translate it with the past. But the idea is that this vav relative, which we'll learn about next week, well, I guess it's this week that we're learning about it because this is last week's exercises. This vav relative here may convert the time so that it wouldn't be he cried out, but he will cry out. Ze, el ze. So maybe it's this one will cry out to this one. This is sort of an idiom in Hebrew. We would probably translate this as one will cry to another. And he will say, again, this is probably that vav relative idea that we talked about. So it's going to convert the time from what we would expect. We expect past tense here, so we end up with a future translation. He will cry, or this one will cry to this one, or one will cry to another, and will say, Kadosh, 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 holy, 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 Adonai Tsabaoth, Adonai of hosts, armies, multitudes. We've got this little upside down, tuning fork thing, this little horseshoe guy. This is kind of a semicolon on the verse. Now, this isn't original to the text. I'm not saying that the author of Isaiah wrote this in here. This is a Masoretic note, but it usually tells us this is the end of the first half of the verse, which is helpful because when we've got a lot of words, it's helpful to be able to break them into phrases. So if we start the next phrase here, malo could be a few different things. Malo looks like an infinitive construct form of male. So, to fill all of the earth, his glory. Kavod is glory here. So, or majesty or weightiness or whatever. To fill all the earth with his glory. If I click on this, open up my lexicon, this actually tells me that we're looking at a noun here rather than an infinitive form of male. That's related to male, but this, a lot of times what will happen is an infinitive, which is a verbal noun. That's what an infinitive is. A lot of times it just functions like a noun, and it loses a lot of its verbal force, I guess you could say. And that's what they're saying has happened here. This no longer has an infinitival force. This is just a noun that means fullness or measure or extent So this would be the extent of all of the earth is his glory, or his glory is the fullness of the earth. So the fullness of the earth is his glory, or the glory, or his glory is the fullness of the earth, or maybe this isn't construct. Now I feel like this accent mark here does indicate a construct relationship. I don't know how I pulled that up. But if we ignore that, we just say, hey, it's not actually, yeah, it's not construct, it's, if this is absolute, it would be something like, all the earth is fullness, his glory. It seems like the most straightforward way to translate this is, again, we talk about verb in first position. Well, we don't have a verb here at all. But if we think instead of verb first position, predicate first position, this could be a predicate noun. So, is fullness of the earth. His glory is fullness of the earth. Or, all of the earth. See, unless Kol Haaretz intervenes between, like, Malo, Kavodo, as like a construct phrase or a construct chain, I don't think you can have an intervening phrase in there. So this is a little bit tricky. Let's take a look at how some literal translations, let's just look at the Young's literal translation and see what they say here. And this one hath called unto that and hath said, Holy, holy, holy is Jehovah of hosts. The fullness of all the earth is his glory. That's that first translation that we went through. So the fullness of all of the earth is his glory. What about NASB? That's a literal translation. The whole earth is full of his glory. This is where it almost seems like you have to view Malo Kavodo as a construct chain, and you've got this intervening phrase in there, which I'm not sure if you can do that grammatically in Hebrew. What about a less literal translation, like let's say the NIV? There we get the whole earth is full of his glory, which is the same here. What about New Living Translation? The whole earth is filled with his glory. So pretty much the same, but this becomes a participle now, or it could be a present passive stative, I guess. So different options there, but the most literal one seems to be the fullness of all the earth is his glory. All right, well, we'll go ahead and shut it down there. If you guys have any questions, feel free to send them my way. Please don't forget to start planning for your online Connect. I highly recommend the Field Mentor option, the transcript of the interview. That is the easiest way to accomplish this. Start planning now. You do not want to spend the last couple weeks of the semester when you're trying to study for the final exam and all that, getting this assignment taken care of. So start planning and taking care of it now. Hope you guys have a great weekend. Thanks so much.